Today is March 17th, 2023, and this week there were 72 cases reported in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg County. This was a 47% decrease over the past 2 weeks. Therefore, we have decided that we are comfortable to not wear a mask. My name is Campbell van Rooyen, and I'm a white South African. Wear a cap a lot of the time, and I'm currently wearing shirts and the shorts.
My name is Prince Louis Bush. I identify as black. I'm 5'11". I play rugby. I have dreadlocks.
Okay, thanks for that, Prince. So, Prince, where's home for you? Like, where do you live?
I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, just in the southwest, in a little town with not too many people there.
And have you lived there your whole life?
Yeah, I lived all until I came to college to play.
And so I'm assuming you were born there. What was it like living there? Like, what was your day-to-day things? What was something you enjoyed? What was something that was maybe different from here than it is to back home?
I always tell people whenever I go back home, the main difference is just it was just a desert. Like there's so many more trees and a lot more plant life, and back home it's just a desert. There's just rocks and sand and not much in terms of plant life. There's like tumbleweeds that go around. And in day-to-day life, I was really more just absorbed with sports and school. So I was never really, I'd go hiking and whatnot, but there isn't much to do there. It's not a very lively city.
And do you think after graduating you'd like to go back home, or would you maybe like to broaden your horizons and go somewhere else?
I think I'll stay in Charlotte for a while, but I'd like to just travel as much as I can before I go back home.
Okay, and is that where you think you'll settle down? Like, do you think that's where you'll end up planting your roots?
That's where I'm thinking. Just go back and make sure I'm around all my family and stuff.
And is a lot of your family back? Is there a lot of family back there? Like, is there multiple generations? Your like relatives around there? How's family life back?
Family life is my grandma, my aunt, all my first relatives really live out there. I have family out in Colorado and like a little bit sprinkled out everywhere, but that's where my immediate family is, and where I go for Christmas and make my runs and Thanksgiving and whatnot. But that's where they are. Yeah,
that's cool. And then, so when you hear the word COVID, what are the things that go through your head?
First thing, we just did that the hand exercise, and the first thing that I put down was isolation. Was just all of a sudden you were completely alone. And for me, I'm an only child, and both my parents my dad is a dentist, so he was out of the house, and my mom was doing online school, so she was in an office in a cubicle. So I was just in my house for maybe 8 to 10 hours a day just by myself. So I was just trying to figure out how to fill up my time with something meaningful. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that hit me the hardest first. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but you came to school and then COVID broke out and then got sent back. Yeah. And then came back to school. Like, how was that? What were the changes you may have experienced?
I felt, well, the first thing that happened, like when we were here, because we were having such a great semester and all of our friends, and then that happened and everybody had to go home. I thought it was something that would blow over, but it wasn't. So at first I just felt like I was on punishment. Like, why is this happening to me and all my friends? I don't get to see all the people that I love every day like I used to. And that's something that hit me really, really hard. Like, and after that, it was just, I didn't know how life was going to be. This is the first time this has ever happened. The uncertainty was really like deep and scary.
Mm-hmm. And coming back, was it different? Did you think you were coming back to normal standards, or like, how was that?
I had no idea what I was coming back to, but I was just so excited to get back to being around all my friends and stuff. Like, I was training through quarantine. That was the only thing that got me out of the house, was just rugby and going out and making sure I was ready, because they're like, we're going to come back next semester and we're going to resume our season. So that really pushed me in that I didn't really care about what I was coming back to, as long as I was coming back to play and be around all my brothers. But it was not what I was expecting, even if I was expecting something. Like when we went in, we were just in one building for the majority of the time. We'd never left it unless it was 2 hours a day for practice and meals. And it was just really, really weird to come back to the school and not be allowed to see everybody whenever you wanted to. But there was good points and bad points in that experience.
And how did you go through schooling online? Like, how did that affect things? Did tests or like magically become easier? And like, how was that experience with all of a sudden going from face to face to being 1,000 miles away from the people who are in your class, but you're all just over there over Ring Central? Like, would you keep your camera on? Would you actually focus on class or do other stuff? Like, how is that experience?
So that was a hard one at first, was because I really wanted to take notes and really be engaged in the class as much as possible. But then the teachers would kind of tell us like, oh, you can just go back and rewatch this if you want to. So at that point I'll go and rewatch this whenever I want. I have to be there for the credit. And I didn't want to have my camera on ever, but I was just there on my phone or doing something else, just waiting for my time to get out of the class before I hopped on to the next thing. So, but my grades did get really a lot better really fast.
No, well, that's fair. And like, do you think that experience has helped you grow as a person and maybe understand things a bit differently?
Yeah, 100%. If it wasn't for that time, I wouldn't be able to figure out what kind of learner I was and really be able to step back and see the things that I was doing before, how they were working, what I should be doing now, how I should go about my schooling experience. It put a new drive and a new passion in me, especially for learning, because I realized what I had before, what I have now, and what I'm going to have going forward.
And do you think like this experience, did it affect your relationship, let's say with your family, in a good or a bad way? Like how did you approach it in your family setting?
So my family lives pretty close to each other as it is. And I was just home alone, and my grandma, like she didn't really care about COVID. So she's like, come over with your mask on, with your mask off, whatever. So it made my whole family a lot closer. I got to go see my family every day, and my mom and dad, whenever they did come home, they were able to just hang out, and I wasn't going to go anywhere. I didn't have anywhere to go. It was a really interesting time, and it's really cool that I got to be closer with them, because as I went on with my schooling, I spent less and less time at home. So they really enjoyed it, and I really liked having some time with them. That's
cool. And then like, what are your thoughts of like maybe COVID now, with your family being back home and you quite far away from your family? Like, is there like a worry in the back of your head that someone in your family is going to get COVID? If someone has already had COVID, like how did you deal or like think about those kind of situations?
Those situations stress me out.
Yeah.
Just my grandma especially, she has a bunch of health problems, and I just like if she does get COVID, it's a big risk, and we try to take her health into account for her. But something about when people get a little bit older, they want to get that independence in their life, make sure they're sure of it, they're full, like they're gonna be fine. But that's scary to me, and I would hope my family just would try to keep themselves safe, because I can't do it for them. But that's definitely something like just in the back of my head, making sure that they're all okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't start with a health major, but now are on track to get a health major. Did the pandemic by any chance inspire that?
Definitely.
Wow.
100%. First and foremost, it was just kind of like, my dad's a dentist, and even though he specializes in teeth, whenever people in the family get sick, they're always like, oh, what's wrong with, can you come look at my kid? Can you come look at my tooth? This, and that. A lot of it is because a lot of them can't afford medical care. And that's been just always been a big relief for my family. My dad's just been able to do that. So, and as COVID kind of reared its head, I was kind of like, I would love to be that person for my family, for anybody who would need it. And that's just kind of what inspired me to switch there. And COVID gave me time to double up on classes and just make sure I could graduate in a more timely fashion. But
Wow.
that was definitely where I wanted to end up, just to make sure everybody was okay.
That's really, really inspiring. And like, I think just thinking of from that manner just shows how important your family is to you and how much you are appreciating how much they sacrifice for you, that you're wanting to give back to them. So I think that's a real true testament to it. And then masks. Like, tell me, what is your opinion on masks? Did you think they worked? Did you think they were a good idea? Were you a pro-mask, against mask kind of thing? Like, how do you think that went?
I was just kind of like, I put on masks because I was just told to put on a mask. I was told that it was to help, and I just believed that. And it wasn't a big issue for me. Like, it's annoying to have on, but I kind of forgot about it over time.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't ever think of it as a big issue. It was just other people around me were like, I hate this mask. It's whatever. I was like, I don't like it either, but I'm going to wear it just to be safer, make sure, especially when we were back on campus with COVID, making sure not everybody around you gets quarantined for one reason or another.
And do you think that opinion came from the care you have for your own family? You were like, well, I wouldn't want me to maybe compromise someone else's family health. Do you think that's where that opinion may have come from?
I could never forgive myself if I think I took the chance, if I had COVID and I didn't even know it and I brought it in somewhere and somebody got sick or died. I just don't think I could do that. It wouldn't be okay on my consciousness.
No, actually, that's a very wise opinion to hold. And now, being a part of the rugby team, you guys went into isolation. Well, isolation. How was that experience? Because it was obviously one thing coming back to campus and then another thing being like locked in your rooms and then going into even more constraints and isolation. Like, how did you deal with that? Like, obviously you had class and stuff, but what did you do to like pass your time? Did you read books? Like, what was your time like for that extreme isolation?
I watched a lot of Netflix.
Nice.
I would sit on my bed and put a computer in the corner and watch a lot of Netflix. In my free time and after classes, because I was still in season and we still had to get ready for our next game. So I was in there doing crunches, burpees, push-ups, sit-ups. I'd go for a mile running around the campus, and then outside for whatever. They gave us like a 45-minute span of time just to hang out outside. So I'd take that and go run or throw a ball around. I'd go back to my room, shower, and just back to Netflix or whatever studying I had to do.
Nice. So what do you think like the pros and cons of the long-term effects of COVID are going to be?
I think it's just people still trying to recover from for some people mentally, it just really threw them back. And I think just kind of the trauma that came from that is something that people are going to have to really work through for a while. In some cases it's better, in some cases it's worse. But I think there's some people out there who still haven't recovered from COVID and may never, especially as we go into how the post the economy is after COVID, where we are now, and all of that mess. But
And in yourself, have you noticed a change since COVID?
definitely. But COVID, it gave me a time to reflect. It gave me a time to kind of lick my wounds and then kind of be like, what can I do with all this time that I suddenly had in all this space? So I was really able to learn more about me, about the things that I wanted, and put the time into the things that I wanted to change or into the person that I wanted to grow to be. So that's what it offered me in the long term of things, and lessons that I still carry with me now.
So during this time where you spent a lot of time alone, did you feel like you were isolated? But I'm getting the sense that you maybe weren't with your family. But during those times where you did feel isolated, like what was something that made you feel happy? Like what was something that like you may have thought that, oh, well, I'm just waiting to get back to play rugby kind of thing. Like you mentioned that getting up and playing rugby, like what do you think was just like your saving grace essentially?
It was definitely rugby.
Okay.
Like I finally was able to stop and go look back through my film and look through pro film, and because I had always had a problem just dissecting film and seeing what I was supposed to take away from it. But I finally was able to look at rugby and watch it and just think about, I can't wait to try this when I get back. Like I wonder how this person trains, go and look at their training videos, go and try it. It was always like, and we always had updates with the team going into our season. Our coach would always give us little tests to hit, benchmarks to hit before we made it back to campus. So I was always working towards that, and it made the days count down a lot faster before I was back with my team.
And then on a rugby front, did you notice an improvement from Prince before COVID and Prince after COVID?
Definitely way more cocky. I can't. It's because I had time to just sit back and think, I'm going to do all this stuff. It's going to. I definitely think I came in with more confidence. I think I came in with more IQ. But then at that point, I just was able. It wasn't that point that I was that much better than I was before. But I finally instilled the tools within myself to continue to get better. Like the practice isn't over. Right after practice, I can go watch film. You know, I was able to flood my life with rugby, and that's what really was able to help me grow.
And I mean, you've been reaping the benefits of that, making the All-American team, and you're going into the draft this year. Like that's just to show that you've reaped the benefits. So I think in your case, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was definitely a bit more positives than negatives in your case, maybe when it came to COVID.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm the type of person, like, I can be alone. Like I won't go insane being alone in a room by myself for a while, which I've seen in other people's cases is really irritating and hard to do. But I was able to sit back and reflect instead of thinking, how quickly can I get out of this box? Mm-hmm. So that's just in my case, because I'm a pretty big introvert and I'm pretty socially anxious. So it's like not being around so many people was kind of a blessing for me.
And then other than the challenges of not seeing your friends and not spending time with your friends, were there any other challenges that you can think of that you personally faced?
Just the uncertainty of who is going to get sick at any point in time, because you just hear somebody has COVID, or your family member, they can't taste anything, they have COVID, but you were just around them. Mm-hmm. And there was so much research coming out about COVID, and it was some people are getting hit really, really hard, and some people were just passing it like it was nothing, and you would hope that you're in one case, but you really don't know until you had it. Mm-hmm. So besides that, it was all right, but that's the part that freaked me out.
And then if you were to go back and talk to pre-COVID Prince, what would you tell him?
Oh man, enjoy it. enjoy life for the moment, because it can all change in a day. That's words were never so true than now. That's something that I wake up and think about all the time. What if another COVID happened? Everything could change in just a second. You don't know.
Mm-hmm. And Tommy, what was it like celebrating birthdays or Christmas or New Year's? How were those done in your household?
A lot of my family members were really mad at me because I was coughing. I was I don't know if I had COVID. I didn't get a test yet, but they're just put a mask on, come over. It's grandma's birthday. Don't. I'm I can't do that. Got a lot of angry texts we're gonna come over to your house. I'm no, don't do that. But it was, a lot of it was everybody would be sure that they were positive, or everybody would wear masks around each other. But we tried to just be as social as possible.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you went through your 21st birthday.
Yeah.
In lockdown. What was that like? Because that's the big 2-1. Like, what did you do to like celebrate it?
I was boring, man. I think I was watching some new movie that came out, and I think I fell asleep halfway through it with my dad.
Okay, well that sounds good. Like, I think it's really a true testament to who you are, the way that you just approached it in a positive way, because I think there's kind of two people who've come out of COVID. There's the negative people and then the positive people. I haven't seen many middle ground people. People either like, it ruined my life or it made me realize some good things. And what do you think like led you to having that aspect of, I'm actually going to make the most of it. I'm going to understand, like, do the best I can and come out a better person from it? Was it, obviously you said yourself, but like, were your family also like motivating you to say, hey Prince, you're being a bit lazy today, go out and do something? Like, how do you think you motivated yourself, and how did others motivate you?
So I was definitely motivated again by my teammates, because everybody got back home, and it was everybody, kind of like, oh, back home, miss you guys, it's cool. And immediately it's just like, well, since the only thing I can do is go out and run, I'm going to go out and run. And we were all on a really good track beforehand with our workouts. And all of a sudden, I felt like people were getting ahead of me. So I had a competitive nature kind of kick in. I was like, okay, I can't go to gyms. I have to figure out a home workout. So push-ups, pull-ups, whatever I could do in my house, go on runs and just stay motivated. Those are the people who really motivated me. And then my family, of course, my mom and dad just kept working. It wasn't even a vacation for them. So everybody was still working. Like, even though this was happening, it didn't stop everybody. And that just kind of motivated me to be like, this isn't a break. This is a pocket of time that I can fill with whatever I need to fill it with.
And did your routines change? Because I know a lot of people during COVID who decided this is a sleeping vacation. They would go to bed at like 2:00 in the morning and then wake up at 12 a.m. Or like, how do you think that went for you? Like, did your routine stay the same? Did you form a routine? Like, how did that go?
My routine got a lot better, actually.
Oh, wow.
I'd wake up at 7, go do my workout. I'd go for my run, come back, eat my protein shake, do whatever I needed to. I would go help my dad at his office, and then I would go work out again. Then after I showered, I would see if I could go play rugby with the men's club. And that was all outside. Everybody was masked up. And then I would just hang out with my dad and my family at home, and then wake up the next day and do it again.
Well, no, props to you. That's a good outcome. And like, being home, the food, I'm assuming, was a lot better. Do you feel like you became a more healthy person when you were at home? Like, as you said, your routine changed a bit, but like, were there other aspects? Like, did you find you were a bit maybe less stressed, less anxious? Kind of, obviously the anxiety was a bit up because of COVID, but like, do you think you became a healthier person while you were home?
Definitely. I was able to, once again, I was able to just like see patterns and that I was initially stuck in, and then able to step back and see like, this isn't the response I want to have to this problem, So I was able to just go ahead and switch, and a lot of self-help books. I was able to just sit back and kind of reprogram myself, pick out habits, reprogram habits. I think that I was able to just declutter my head a little bit and just learn how to sit back and breathe, especially during those times of a lot of stress and anxiety.
And did you pick up any new hobbies while you were in COVID? Like, some people learned how to do the splits and stuff like that, like craziness. But did you pick up any new hobbies or anything that you still do?
I learned how to write and produce music, and that was a big thing for me. So I got a mic, a home studio, whatever, and I would just make beats and then make kind of whatever songs that I wanted to on them. And that's something that I still do. It helps me de-stress and declutter my thoughts.
Nice. Well, I have to listen to some of your songs. Then do you think that there's like anything else that maybe you would have liked to have changed during your time during COVID?
I think I wish that I was obviously scared, but at some points I kind of wish that I wasn't, because I feel like I missed out on not opportunities, but times that I won't get back.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I just had risked it and kind of broke my own rules, I would have made memories, long lasting memories with people.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we come towards the end of our interview, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything else you'd like to express that we maybe didn't cover?
No, it's a lot of reflection.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.